Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
Welcome to DCTV Recap, the show on this channel where we review Supergirl Season 3, Legends of Tomorrow Season 3, and no other Season 3s because they're not on the CW. Like, I would love to review Star Trek Deep Space Nine Season 3, but it's not.
Man.
It's not on the CW. But you know what could be on the CW?
What?
Jupiter Jet issue #1. That is Ashley and Mai's comic book that's going to be coming out December 6th through Action Lab Entertainment. It is a fun romp of a Kim Possible meets the Rocketeer about a 16-year-old girl with a what?
With a jetpack.
That's right. Her and her brother steal from the rich and give to the poor. And it's a nice little 1935 story mixed with some sci-fi. And we need you guys, if you, that sounds really cool and you've enjoyed some of the artwork we showed on screen, go to your local comic book shop and pre-order it. Why do they need to pre-order it?
Pre-ordering is really important for indie comics because it lets the publisher and it lets the comic shops know that you're interested in us because our book doesn't have Batman in it.
That is correct. And we're really proud of our comic book and we think you'll enjoy it. And if you go in your local comic book shop between now and next week's DCTV Recap and you take a picture of yourself with a picture of Jupiter Jet or your pre-order form or anything, a thumbs up, and you tweet it to me at Jawiin between now and next DCTV Recap, I'm gonna give you the Justice League, the New Frontier Steel Book Edition. You can hear that.
Whoa.
And since no one claimed it from last week, Batman and Harley Quinn. So go in there, you can find Jupiter Jet in your previews magazine. Take a picture of yourself with that. Send it to me on Twitter at Jawiin, and I'll send you a couple cool comic book movies as thanks for supporting our comic book. And if you're complaining about us promoting our comic book as we talk about other comic book TV shows on this free video that we put free on the internet for your free enjoyment, then all I have to say to you is, all right, let's move into Supergirl.
Supergirl Season 3, Episode 5, Damage. Morgan Edge blames Lena for children getting sick from lead poisoning.
All right, so let's go into the good, the bad, and then the rating and the prediction. You know what? I actually thought this episode kind of had a weird downer of an opening as Supergirl stops the prison bus from breaking free. Like, it was kind of like, and especially with Alex and Kara walking away from the shot, it was at night, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, we kind of did it, blah, blah, blah. But of course, at the beginning of this episode, we don't really know the full effects of what's been happening.
Yeah.
But it's usually, it's an opening scene or a cold open that Supergirl usually doesn't do, and I think that's why I enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But we gotta talk about mainly the biggest thing I enjoyed in this episode is the idea of the lead dispersal bomb. The idea, the thing that saved them in Season 2 that Lena made is actually making all the children of National City sick.
Or so we think.
Or so we think. But I thought that was a genius pickup of a forgotten thing because lead gives you cancer.
It surely does, and we have worked really hard in a contemporary society to get rid of all of our lead.
Correct. Ashley, what'd you dig in this episode?
I actually really dug. I want to build on that storyline a little bit. I loved Lena's performance throughout
she's always
this episode.
good.
But I feel like we talk a lot about her struggle of being a Luthor and what that means, and I think the manifestation of it, even in scenes where like she's getting drunk and passing out on the couch, I really, really loved how it affected her, and I thought this gave the best credence to why Rain is around, and apparently it is because Lena needs to sleep on her couch. I did like seeing more of her, although unfortunately it did mean we had to have a Ruby scene, but more Rain is always good.
I thought there was a nice little moment where Morgan Edge, played by the amazing Adrian Pastor, I believe.
Look it up for you.
He's paying off the bills of the children, which I thought was really, really good. Of course, he's from Heroes, and he talks about the Cobra effect. He's a great, what was his name? Adrian?
It's loading.
Adrian Pastor.
Adrian
not
Pastor.
He is great. He's doing really good.
Biggest head on the show.
But I love that Lena Luthor was actually doing the right thing in this episode, that she immediately wanted to step down, proving herself very un-Lex Luthor-like, Mr. Luthor-like, very unlike Mr. Luthor. It's a reference to Superman the movie. Does anybody get that? I don't know if they do. Before your time. But anyways.
I liked how that affected James, because James is a character that we flip-flopped on throughout the season, and now that him and Lena have this will they won't they kind of thing, and they're sort of at heads in a professional capacity, I've really enjoyed seeing more James, and the joke where he says to her, my friends call me James or Jimmy, that was great because no one's been allowed to call him Jimmy up to this point.
That was a nice little moment as well. Another little nice little moment was an action scene where Kara caught the bullet during the press conference where she just went tink, and I was like, yeah, that's so awesome. Of course, we later learned that those bullets aren't always for Lena. I also thought, again, last week we talked about how last week Supergirl had amazing, amazing dialogue. And this week had a couple dialogue scene stealers here and there.
Ooh.
Especially Lena's drunk scene where she says, "My name might as well be Bin Laden to the world." Which I was like, that is so genius. And in the context of the DC Comics world, that is dead on, because everybody would hate Lex Luthor because we all love Superman. And then, of course, when she confronts Morgan Edge, she has a gun. She tries to shoot him.
Yeah.
She became very Luthor-like.
She did.
Can't get rid of that Luthor
and
gene.
She says that, too. She says, I'm embracing my last name. But it's an awesome scene. Like, she's so badass in that I really actually wanted her to shoot Morgan
What else
Edge.
did you dig from this episode?
I want to call it a really small Easter egg. Lena's wearing a National City University shirt.
I noticed that, too.
To which, as it crossed the screen, Jason said, Lena went to National City University.
Yeah, I did. She would have gone to Oxford or Harvard or Yale.
Maybe she borrowed it from one of her 2 girlfriends.
That's true.
I'm not sure, but
we can assume it's a t-shirt of Sam's.
Yeah. But I like that in the way that when the Star Labs shirts were first showing up on Flash, it was really cool to see that. I love anything where they build out the world.
I'd wear a University of National City.
Yeah?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Sure.
There also was a nice little homage to Superman Returns. Supergirl, at one point, the plane breaks in half. The plane with all the chemicals in it's going to fall in the ocean. And Kara's holding both sides of the plane. She can't hold both. And Lena was like, "Let me go," which I thought was a very excellent character moment, very excellent beat that was portrayed very wonderful. And I love the way they shot it. And then Kara was like, "Climb, climb." Now, this is very similar to a moment that is like with the boat. There's a moment where James and Lois's current husband, or sort of fiance at the time, it's him, Lois, and their son. And Superman is on the ship. The ship is under the ocean. Superman brings the ship out of the ocean, opens up the canister, and is like, "Take my hand." And they take his hand, and he drops the ship, and you see the ship go all the way around it. And I could tell from the sequence, I was like, oh, this is definitely homaging that sequence from Superman Returns. Second time this season we've done that.
Well, I guess we want to pay homage to Brandon Routh.
Hey, Superman Returns has great action scenes. That's what I'll say about Superman Returns.
I think that is more than fair.
Everything else about that movie we're not going to talk about. Morgan Edge also had a great line of dialogue where he's like, "I don't know what hippy-dippy justice you practice on your planet, sweetheart."
I also love that the first time Supergirl confronts him, he's just sitting in his office with all the lights off.
Yeah, he was in the dark. I have that in the bad, actually.
I just thought it was really, it was a great shot, and it was really dramatic, but, it makes no sense. It was really goofy supervillain stuff.
And then the final scene is Kara saying to Alex, "Let's go home." And I've been wanting this episode for so long. They're going to go back to Midvale.
Yeah.
And they're going to be with Helen Slater. This, to me, is like returning home to Smallville, episodes of Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which were always the best episodes of Lois and Clark. So I'm so excited that 3 seasons in, we're finally getting this. And I have a prediction about it in our predictions. Any final other good things before we move into the bad?
I think we can roll right into the bad.
Great, let's move into the bad. So the Maggie and Alex breakup thing happens off screen? What the F?
Yeah, so we knew it was going to happen, but it feels like something very monumental that we should have seen instead of the last-minute pity sleeping together thing.
It seems like
with the bad music cue.
Oh, we had another damn montage. Ugh. So it seems like we're trying to do everything we can to push Maggie out of the show as quick as possible.
Yeah.
So we can't even see this It was like 2 episodes ago. We had their engagement,
their
bachelorette party, their wedding shower, and now we don't even get to see their breakup.
Yeah.
I hate it because when it started, I literally said this to you. I was like, wait a minute, we don't get to see the breakup.
Yeah, and I do think that both of the actresses do a good job.
Yep.
They give very emotional, very true performances, but the execution and the writing on it is just messy.
Yep.
And it doesn't, as a B plot, it doesn't jive or serve the A plot that's going on with Supergirl and Lena and their triad girlfriend.
It seems like a disservice to us viewers of Supergirl because we like both of these characters. Both of these actresses are great actresses. and we don't get to experience that moment. I feel cheated out of that plot, is what I feel.
I agree. And if you're going to do something like this where nobody's the bad guy, then we deserve to feel empathetic for both characters.
Yep. A little bit of a logic hole in the episode. How did the angry dad get past the building security of Catco to go all the way up to the top floor to yell at Lena Luthor? Nobody stopped them. No receptionist, no security guard. Look, I have been in giant corporation conglomerate buildings like that. There are so many levels of security.
There's got to be at least 8 on the way up.
Oh, there's no way. There's no way. And I guarantee you that elevator needs a key card.
Yeah.
So how the hell did he get all the way to the office of the CEO of Catco?
It's the same thing with this shooting. There should have been, you know, when you go to big public events like that, there's usually a security, and at least in a major city.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got also a little bit bothered by a slight logic problem here where Sam and Lena, you learn that they've been friends for years. You learn that...
Apparently.
And also there's a reveal that Sam has worked for Lena for years.
Yeah.
But if there's a scene where Lena is in Sam's kitchen, and she's like, if all this stuff happens, will we still be friends? And I'm like, you have been her boss for years. You have known her for years. There is some fraternization lines that are bending quite a bit here that I'm having a tough time swallowing.
Especially because Lena is so businesslike to James.
Exactly. And let's just say it. Lena's a billionaire. There's
easy,
doubt she's a billionaire, right? Would she give a damn about the person right under her?
Maybe not, but also doesn't she have a cabin in the woods somewhere that she can fly off to in Switzerland? Like, why does she need to stay on Sam's couch except that we needed this scene? And then a completely terrible scene at the end where Ruby is like, Mom, I like your friends who are drunk at our house and I never hung out with. Like, what?
Yeah, as we tuck Ruby in tonight, good night, even though she's like 15. Oh, good Lord.
Sorry, we're always going to screw about Ruby.
Yeah, I just don't like Ruby. Ruby has become, I don't know,
the Laurel Lance of this show.
Pretty close. So there's another moment where, again, we talked about the dancing montage. Again, this is the second time this season where we're like, oh, instead of showing you these scenes and letting us see how these characters react, we're just going to explain it in a dancing montage. And then after their sex scene between Maggie and Alex, Maggie calls having children a notion, which I thought was very insensitive to her character.
I do too.
Alex's character.
I also feel like this Alex has all these, and they're great speeches again, and Kyler Lee does a good job because she is a mom, about how she's always wanted to be a mom. Up until she met Maggie, she was career. This is something that it's a retcon that, while I don't mind it, it doesn't ring true to the character for me necessarily. And it's just like, again, like you said, we just need to get Maggie off the show. Yep.
Also, let's talk about stuff that we don't care about, because Supergirl, every scene with Sam Rain seems like it's in a completely different show that's not Supergirl. I feel like we are watching the transmissions of another sitcom called CEO Mom or 1% Mom. And it's like bleeding into my Supergirl. Like I have the antenna up, I have my tinfoil, I'm like pointing up, I'm trying to get the transmission, and for some reason, the show from the O Network is bleeding over my Supergirl because I don't care that there's some random woman in a hood that is shooting this single mom. I don't care. And there's no reason for me to care. Sorry to interrupt you.
I don't care for the scene where Kara's like, you have a sister, hug. And then Sam's like, ha ha ha, 2 sisters, hug. And then Alex calls and Kara's like, I gotta go talk to my real sister now. Like, they're trying to do, and Flash does it this week as well, this kind of girl power bonding thing, but it's a bit sloppy.
It is correct. It's very sloppy. But we are 5 episodes in. And I just don't give a damn about Sam. I don't give a damn about Sam.
And if she's supposed to be
the main villain,
or at least the first half villain, she needs to get on it.
I just think I think this was a mistake. This was I like the idea because they've said in interviews that the idea was let's see the big bad become the big bad. But I think they've tilted the arrow so far away from big bad that we don't care. It's the problem. It's the exact same problem with the Star Wars prequels. The problem is that the Anakin we meet in episode 1 to us would never become Darth Vader. But if we had met Anakin in episode 1 and he was slightly angry, or maybe he's the bully of Tatooine, then we'd believe it. Be like, oh, that guy is definitely Darth Vader. The problem with Rain is that she just seems like boring suburban mom. And there's nothing wrong with boring suburban moms, and I hope you're happy with your life. But I'm talking about fictional boring suburban moms.
It's not dramatic.
It's not dramatic at all, and I don't care. And you've not given me a reason to care. All right, so let's move straight into the rating. Ashley, based on this episode of Supergirl, what do you give it?
I'm going to give Damage
scale 1 to 5.
A middle-of-the-road rating. I think there was some really good stuff here. There was some interesting Lena stuff. The stuff that was bad was really bad, and the stuff that was messy was really messy. I'm going to give it a 2.5. It was okay. Not the worst, but definitely not one of the better ones, and not even one of the better ones for this season. It's a drop in quality.
Agreed.
How about you? What are you going to give Damage?
I agree. It is a middle-of-the-road episode. There was a great idea with the lead bomb, but it kind of drops out of the middle of nowhere because they decide to send Lena on this, like, let's drunken sleep on the couch plot line. And so there's no drama to propel me through this episode and make me give a damn by the time we get to the end. So I'm giving it a 3. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. Ashley, based on this week of Supergirl, where do you think the show's going? What's your prediction?
Okay, so my prediction, I've been thinking a lot about Ruby and Sam.
A lot about Ruby.
And what's the best way to have them make an impact in the show? And the best way, I think, to have that is to have them become personally involved with a character, which they're trying to do with Kara, and I feel like is ineffective. We are pretty sure that Alex is going to wind up Ruby's mom, and what would be a better way to allow that to happen than if Alex and Sam get together? Because Alex is all sad and single now, and Sam is all sad and single, and they're going to be sad and single no more. That's what I think is going to happen.
Really?
Right, and then Alex is going to be the one to have to sort of pull the trigger metaphorically on Rain at the end of this season.
Wow, did not see that prediction coming.
There you go.
Holy mama.
What do you think is coming down the pipe for Supergirl?
Well, I haven't seen the trailer for next week's Supergirl, but I'm going to put a prediction that I think Dean Cain's going to be there because it's about Midvale and it's about family. I'm putting money that Dean Cain is in that episode. But I think we are going to learn that Mon-El comes back because of the World Breaker, because of Rain.
Sure.
And I think that Rain will become we've seen like a costume photo release. No, I think they're going further. I think by the end of the season, Rain is full on female Doomsday.
I will tell you what, I hope that's true.
Great.
I really do.
All right, let's move straight into our favorite time travel show of nincompoops, Legends of Tomorrow.
Legends of Tomorrow, Season 3, Episode 5, Return of the Mac. The Legends run into Rip in 1897 London, where they attempt to hunt down a time-traveling vampire.
We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the rating, and then the prediction. First off, London, 1895. Rip Hunter, Sherlock Holmes.
It was so amazing.
Sherlock Holmes hunting a vampire.
It actually reminded me very much of Doctor Who when Eleven was dressed up like Sherlock Holmes, and ironically, he was playing his companion at the time.
I enjoyed it. You know what? I enjoyed it. Rip Hunter was back in the episode. I love me some Rip Hunter.
Yeah.
I want a Rip Hunter action figure, damn it. They just released like a White Canary, Atom, and Kid Flash action figures from DC Collectibles. I want a Rip Hunter action figure.
Well, Jason, we know you control everything over at DC, and that's what everyone on Twitter thinks, so why don't you get on that?
Sure. It's going to happen tomorrow.
Greenlight that.
With my magic DC powers.
Rip Hunter action
that means Nightwing showing up in Justice League, and the Anti-Monitor is the villain of Wonder Woman 2.
Woo! It's going to be great, kids.
I don't bullshit around when I control DC.
I hope someone runs that as actual news.
I don't bullshit around when I run DC.
But really, Victorian London is a tried and true setting that we have seen in pretty much every time travel show since the beginning of time, and I thought it was really wonderfully executed here, even though it was obviously like 2 blocks of a single set that they just kept flipping the camera around.
Well, that's the other thing too, is I was really wondering where they shot this, because as far as and I could be completely wrong. I didn't know Vancouver had a standing sort of a London town set.
I didn't know that either.
So I didn't know if that was maybe a section of Vancouver that they dressed up, or did they build it specifically for this episode? And if that's the case, then we're probably going to see it probably somehow in Flash or somehow in other stuff. But
they're all going to Victorian London.
You know what? I thought it looked pretty good.
I did too.
I thought it looked pretty good. Okay, so let's talk about there was some. Oh, speaking of sets. again, I mentioned it last week. I really love the new Martenstein lab room they built.
In fact, every time it shows up, Jason goes, "Oh, that looks so great."
It looks good. It kind of looks like a transporter room from Star Trek, but it looks really great. It's a really well lit room, and the design of it is really good. There's a lot of good character beats between Jax and Martenstein in this, especially like some of the moments where they talk about their psychic link and the idea that they have to eat grapefruit, and like Jax is like, "This is the first morning I haven't wanted grapefruit," and then the story he told about when he was like, "When I got laid," he's like, "Martenstein found me." He's like, "Well done, Jefferson."
Martenstein also has a really great moment where we see his ancestor. Whose name I don't remember. I'm really sorry I didn't write it down.
He has an amazing stash.
But Victor Garber just acts the absolute hell out of this episode. It puts everyone to shame.
Yes.
Really wonderful.
Very similar to the assistant, is it Rumsfeld, the assistant from Dracula?
Oh, yeah.
I believe it's Rumsfeld. Bram Stoker's Dracula, yes. Who Rory was reading throughout this entire episode, which I thought was very funny.
First of all, do any of us believe that Mick Rory can read Dracula? Like, come on. Dracula's a tough book.
No, he can read it.
It's tough to get. I love it, and I loved as they were going to die, and he's counting down the pages, and
Mick Rory is an onion. You discover more about him as you go through the layers.
I think he's a treasure who needs to be preserved for all eternity. I love it. But vampires are another thing that we've seen a lot of. A lot of shows have done to death. I thought it was really funny, and then the reveal of what the vampire actually was actually very intelligent.
I agree, and I also agree, like, there's the funny joke talking about Mick where Steele was like, "Hey, I have beer, team meeting," and that's how he got him there.
Yeah.
And then when he learns about vampires, he pulls a stake out of, this is brilliant writing.
Yeah.
He pulls a stake out of his coat, and he's like, "Vampires, I've waited my whole life to kill. Vampires." And they're like, "Did you just pull it out of your coat? And he's like, "My whole life."
Yeah.
I thought it was a genius joke, and it's just the second time they pulled this season, because earlier in the season we learned that Mick Rory was afraid of clowns.
Yeah. But
now we learned that it's been his life goal to kill a vampire.
This was and he also tries to stake pretty much everyone they come across in Victorian London.
Stake you.
Yeah, and he stakes a corpse once just for good measure, pretty early on in the episode.
You gotta be sure.
Yeah.
Rip coming out of go to the graveyard at one point. Rip coming out of the graveyard, I thought was a nice bit of staging there as well.
When he meets up with them again, yeah.
And then again, talk about Victor Garber. Victor Garber's singing is always a treasure, especially when he has to put his little girl to sleep.
Oh, little boy, Ronnie.
His little boy, Ronnie. Excuse me. And then we got this is something that Legends Tomorrow does really well, and it's because of the time travel aspect. So we learn that during the 5 years where Rip was building the Time Bureau, he was going after Mullis.
Yeah.
And he was trying to figure out what Mullis, and he mentions the Time Masters and is like, "Oh, the Time Masters knew about Mullis, and no one at the Time Bureau believes me." So again, Rip Hunter is an outsider again from his own organization, even though he made it. And to be honest with you, when we get to the weird hocusy-pocusy stuff where they're having the party and they're talking to the ghosts, and the weird demon lady, who we later found out was a Dark.
Eleanor Darhk.
She got black eyes and the voice, she was pretty freaky. I thought that was a well-done moment, because these shows don't usually pull off horror that well.
Yeah.
But I thought maybe because of the Victorian setting, I thought their scary moments really worked.
I think it was also really great to introduce Eleanor in this way, because spiritualism and seances were very in vogue around this time. So it's not even out of place that you would have a fortune teller type character around. And honestly, she was awesome. She made some really strong. I kind of wish that she was Zari, because she's another amulet wielder, and I just thought she was so much better.
Yeah.
She was so cool and so pretty.
We also got to get a mad shout out, Echo Kellum, Mr. Terrific on Legends. I thought that was a great moment. I would love if he joined this crew. I think he would fit in so well.
He would fit in so well.
He's doing a good job on Arrow, but I think when Arrow ends, and if Legends is still going on, I think they need to move Mr. Terrific over to Legends. I think he's really good. Then we get the giant reveal, very smartly I might add, that the watch they find is from Damian Darhk. It's a Palmer Tech Damian Darhk, and there's a nice.
It had Oliver Queen. It had Oliver Queen thumbprints on it.
Yeah.
So funny.
Well, Oliver Queen was the man who killed them.
Yes.
And so this was great. So we get this Frankenstein resurrection of Damian Darhk. This is the Damian Darhk from the end of season 4 of Arrow. So he's been through everything with Arrow, but because of the magic-y, he can remember the legends from the 1970s.
Yeah.
And the plus side of this is a Damian Darhk with his full magical powers.
It was
awesome.
amazing. The huge fight stage
Yep.
at the end. Awesome. We got to see how cool Damian Darhk's powers are, which I loved him last season, but it is cool to see him at his full might. And I'll watch him and Sarah fight all day.
And to be honest with you, this was one part where I thought the music worked because they had already set up the gag of the song.
Yeah.
So you learn that it was Damian Darhk. But yeah, you're right. That end scene where we did this giant wide shot where he's just like throwing people and stuff like that. And then when Rip used the time bomb, it froze everybody but Damian.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so good. And it was just something that's moment. And to be honest with you, we got to give a mad shout out. We finally get some reveals about Mollis. He's somebody who's dead and alive at the same time. We get to see, we get to hear John Noble, an actor from Fringe, an actor from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
A longtime favorite actor of mine is the voice of Mollis now. And he sounds awesome. I kind of hope we see him too. I really want to see him.
I would love to. And I will say DCTV does a tremendous job with their voice talent.
They do.
Of their bad guys.
Tobin Bell was Savitar. Tony Todd was Zoom. I'm probably forgetting some other ones. Michael Dorn was Prometheus.
Oh yeah, David Sobolov is Grodd. Like they do great casting.
Yes, it was really good. I also got to give a mad shout out to Sarah's new Season 3 White Canary suit.
Jason's all on board with that costume.
It's awesome, and I gotta say this, Katie Lotz, you look hotter than hell now. And badass. It looks really good.
Yeah.
It looks really good. It has this like kind of weird 70s kind of like Iron Fist collar thing going on. I'm going to assume that a friend of the show, Andy Poon, who designs a lot of the costumes for Legends of Tomorrow, I gotta assume that he designed that costume. And if so, Andy, fantastic fracking job. I thought that I think that costume was great. I want an action figure of that. I'm gonna put that on my notes for tomorrow. Okay.
Rip Hunter and Sarah.
Put that on tomorrow. Also, cast Matt Bomer as Nightwing. Got it. Okay.
Oh, man.
All right. Because I control DC, right? All right.
Very heart.
All right. Let's go into the bad. Ashley, what did you not like in this episode?
I didn't think Nate was particularly funny when he was tied up. They gave him a couple lines.
Now, Ashley, I'm gonna be the comments for a second. Ashley, you clearly just hate Nate, and your bias is showing.
Yes.
Can you be objective about Nate?
He's terrible. He's one of the worst parts of the show.
Why do you not like him? Let's go into this because I see that comment every single week, and some people grievously insult you for it.
Whatever. I don't read the comments. I'm very upfront about the fact that I don't like this character. I think he was brought on as a replacement for better actors who were more interesting.
Captain Cole, basically. He was the Captain Cole
and Wentworth Miller is a far superior actor. It's a much better character. I don't think he brings anything. I think he's utterly lackluster, and I think he looks like a weird Ken doll with a bad haircut. And they give him lines that are supposed to be funny, and they're not funny. And I'm having similar problems with Zari this season. I thought she was really good in her first episode, and her star's kind of been waning for me since then. And unfortunately, Mari, who's one of my favorite characters,
Mari's so good.
One of my favorite actors on the show. Not Mari, Amaya. Sorry.
Oh, yes.
Grandmother. Amaya is one of my favorite characters on the show.
Ashley, clearly you should know that they're different.
I'll just go open my veins in a warm bath. It'll be fine.
Yep.
But yeah, so all of her interactions are with these two characters that I think bring down her scenes, and unfortunately, it makes her storyline not that interesting. I don't care about your stupid amulets bonding, okay? It was interesting that Amaya's was going haywire and what that meant for her, but like, maybe Zari's just not that interesting. I'm not sure yet.
I will say this, that I don't dislike Nate as much as you do, but I will say that the actor, I think is Nick Zano is his name, I feel that they do give him lines that are supposed to be very funny. And sometimes he really pulls it off, and then other times he doesn't. And the problem with that is that when he doesn't pull it off, it really makes Nate come off as a dumb character. And from everything we know about Nate, Nate is supposed to be very smart.
And I will add to that I'm also not a huge Brandon Routh fan as Ray Palmer, but I do think that Brandon Routh will consistently land a joke. And because Ray is a bit of a goofball, so even when he doesn't land a joke and it comes off as dumb, it feels appropriately in character.
It feels as part of the plot.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, like, I'd be careful because I thought Ray's best episode was last week. So
I actually think Ray She and Jax kind of being buddy-buddy is really good for that character.
Let's talk about there's a second where they go to the graveyard and the wagon rolls away from them, horses, of course, like that. Rip somehow sprints and catches up to the wagon.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's a moment where Sarah jumps down from a tree. How the hell did they catch that wagon?
That whole scene, and then it wound up being the potatoes was a little
yeah, it was a little much.
Silly,
a little logical.
Yeah.
And then at the very end, I had a little bit of a problem with the way that Sarah was written, because at the very end, Sarah really gave Rip, I thought, too much guff, where she was just like, you ran away from the Time Masters, you ran away from us, you ran away from the Time Bureau. I can't even trust you anymore. And I understand her point, and I kind of understand what they're going for with the character, but I had a problem with that because if not for Rip Hunter, they wouldn't be on the Wave Rider. They wouldn't have the Wave Rider.
Wouldn't Sarah technically still be dead?
No. Sarah was brought back to life before Rip Hunter.
Oh, that's right.
But Sarah would have no purpose.
Yeah.
When we met her in the beginning, she was just kind of chilling out in Nanda Parbat.
Yeah.
And she was thinking about becoming an assassin again, remember? Without him, he wouldn't have purpose. I thought it was kind of everything I've understood from Sarah so far is that she hero worships Rip. And this seemed like too much of a turn. And I also don't think that anything he did in this episode was too terribly bad.
Egregious. I also don't believe that if Sarah was going to teach Rip a lesson, that she would give him to the Time Bureau.
I don't think so either.
She'd just zap him out into space or leave him on a planet, or...
I kind of think she would have just left him in 1895.
Yeah,
I don't think she would give him up to the Time Bureau.
Yeah, so I didn't love
Even
that
for the
ending
price
scene.
of them getting to fly the skies.
I mean, they've been doing fine so far.
Yep. I also got to say, I forgot to give this is a good, my last good, is that Gentleman Dreadnought, when Rip had the code to lock up the Wave Rider. Anytime you can make Rip more like the Doctor, the secrets of Rip are what I love.
Yeah.
That's why I love Rip Hunter. All right, so let's go into the rating. Based on a scale of 1 to 5, Ashley.
Yes.
What would you give this episode?
I think that the last Mac, or whatever this episode is
Return
called,
of the Mac.
that I don't understand the reference to in
Just
the
a song.
title. Oh yeah, because Nate sings some dumb song when he's all tied up and it's dumb. I think this was a really good episode. I think it's one of the best episodes that we've had of this season so far, and I love Legends, so it's nice to see them getting back to their true form. The new dark threat I'm all about in both the literal and the Mollis form, so I'm gonna give it 4. I thought it was a really good episode.
Great.
But not perfect. How about you? What are you gonna give this episode?
This is exactly what I want Legends to be. I have a little bit of Rip Hunter. I have them in the past. I get some Mick Rory jokes. And I meet a super cool alien that, to me, seems to have deep continuity connections to DC Comics. This is a 4. Woo! This is exactly what I want from Legends. A fun time with a lot of DC Comics Easter eggs. Ashley, based on this episode, do you have some predictions for the future of Legends?
I do have some predictions for the future of Legends. I think that something is going to happen. We do know we know that we're losing a cast member. And I think that cast member is going to be replaced by Eleanor Darhk. And I think she's going to wind up a full-time member of the League of Assassins, of the Legends of Tomorrow. And I really hope that she winds up being Sarah's girlfriend, because I think they'd be cool together. And she kind of reminds...
So you think they'll turn, what's her name, Sarah Darhk?
Eleanor Darhk.
I wanted to call her Sarah Darhk. Eleanor, you think they'll turn Eleanor Darhk?
I do think so.
I'd be down for that. She's a good actress.
And I think that's how they'll wind up taking down... Dum Dum Dugan in the end.
Damian Darhk.
I know it's Damian Darhk. What do you think is coming down the pipe for Legends?
All right, so we got Damian Darhk back.
Hang on, Damian Darhk.
It's not Damian Darhk.
No, that's what you were just doing. I'm Jason.
I guess. If I control DC Comics, let's see. Fire Ashley from DCTV Recap. Got it. Okay.
I don't have a contract, so.
Not good enough hand motions. Let's put the Damien Darhk girl on Legends. Got it. Okay. That's my idea. Okay. My prediction is, since we saw a Damien Darhk resurrection, I think for a brief 1 episode, through time travel shenanigans, through resurrection shenanigans, through magic, we are going to reunite for 1 episode the Legion of Doom.
Oh, I want that to be true so bad.
Because as far as we know, remember, Malcolm Merlin's dead. He died in Lian last. He got blown up by a mine.
Yeah, right.
But time travel shenanigans will bring him back. I think we'll bring him back.
Or magic.
We will also bring back Captain Cold. he will come back. And then I also think somehow they will throw in Eobard Thawne. Now, I don't know what version of Eobard Thawne we'll get, but I think we will get a slight out of continuity. Like, we pull you out of the time stream, you're gonna do this thing. When we put you back in the time stream, you don't remember you were here for an episode.
Yeah, and I'm gonna lend credence to that theory. Wentworth Miller was just on set, according to Instagram.
Well, a lot of that was because of the Crisis of Earth X, but he also announced today, or it was announced earlier today, that he is done with the Arrowverse. He's not going to come back. So that, to me, says that he's going to come back to the show that he was a lead on, Legends, before he's done.
Him and Rory need a goodbye before before that character leaves forever.
And that's what I think we're going to get. I think we're going to resurrect them all. In fact, we might even get a Harrison Wells Eobard Thawne. I don't know, because that might be easier. But we're going to get one of those. And the Legion of Doom from last season will get... Damian Darhk will use them for something and then return them to the time.
Yeah, totally.
So go down in the comments and tell us what you thought about this video, and then click subscribe.
And why not click on one of the videos popping up on the screen? And for more exclusive geeky content, go to patreon.com/Jawiin.
Stick around the channel because we have Star Trek Discovery reviews and plenty other cool stuff. See you later, super friends.